This morning we're flying with Jetstar Airways. The airline, which was founded back in 2003 in Australia, has now expanded to several other countries, providing cheap, no-frill flights. And today we're going back to where it all began. What makes Jetstar so successful? Come along and let's find out.
Good morning and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to enjoy Jetstar's early morning domestic service on a flight from Brisbane down to Sydney. Now, if you do some flying in Asia or Australia, you may have come across the Jetstar brand. But did you know there's actually 3 Jetstar companies? There's the main Jetstar based out of Australia, there's Jetstar Japan, and Jetstar Asia, which I believe is based out of Singapore. Nonetheless, they actually do a pretty good job of making a consistent product across the 3 companies. However, there are some differences, and one of them is their in-flight menu, which we'll definitely look at today. The flight is set to depart at 7:35, so come along as we go from A to B, and let's enjoy a wonderful and budget-friendly flight down to Sydney.
Well, it looks like the weather's off to a good start this early morning. I was looking forward to visiting Sydney, if only for 2 hours on this short turnaround trip, with once again a large fish in the ultra-low-cost carrier world. From the looks of it, and Googling afterwards, it appears that Brisbane Airport has been undergoing a fairly sizable renovation and upgrade, and so Jetstar's domestic check-in is located in the structure outside the domestic terminal for the time being. Like many ultra-low-cost carriers, they work on efficiency, everything from quick turnaround times, efficient onboard service, and of course check-in and baggage drop-off. I often get asked in the comments how strict an airline is when it comes to weight and allowances, and long story short, follow the airline's guidelines and provisions of your ticket, and you'll make check-in and boarding a quick experience. If you're going to take a chance, you may have to go directly to the desk. Do not pass go, and do not collect $200. This was a quick day trip, and the scale indicates I have about 5 kilos to spare, perfect for the amount of kangaroo jerky I intended to purchase for the return trip. Since I had no checked bags, and I got my boarding pass online, I simply had to walk right through. Now, before we talk scouting reports and onboard breakfast, the morning coffee must be prioritized. Brisbane Airport has a pretty solid selection of restaurants gateside, probably one of the better airports of its size out there from my experience. Between the food court and the cafes that line the corridor, there's bound to be something which catches your eye. The Avery Cafe appeared inviting, and I enjoyed a lovely cappuccino to start off the day. The cafe backs onto the windows and provided nice views to enjoy with my coffee. Today we're departing from gate 31, and here's our A321 just arriving. Beside it, I saw an Alliance Airlines 737 being towed to the gate. It's an airline I have yet to try, but there's only so much I can fly in a week's trip. When it comes to boarding, there's no zones or anything like that, and it works well for the airline. I'm a big proponent of boarding with the front and rear doors, which from my experience is pretty common in Australia and something I really don't see back in Canada. In my opinion, it's an easy way to speed up the boarding process, if only employed during the busy summer season. Anyway, as we go for our morning stroll, I'll take a moment to welcome new viewers to the channel and invite you to subscribe for continued travel and aviation related content, where you can find reviews of many other low-cost carriers, like Air Seoul, which provides a budget-friendly way to get around East Asia. Today we'll be seated in 38A in the rear of the plane, and beside us is a Rex Airlines Saab 340. We flew with them last year on this route on one of their 737s, but from my understanding, they ran into some money issues and those 737s are now with Virgin Australia, leaving Rex flying only regional routes with these smaller planes. We'll be flying on a 16-year-old Jetstar A321-200 aircraft, fitted with 230 seats with 3 lavatories on board. Jetstar has 6 of these aircraft in their fleet, but they do have 19 of the A321 long-range variant. Jetstar Airways is the only Jetstar brand to fly a variety of aircraft. Jetstar Japan and Jetstar Asia only fly the A320-200 aircraft. It'll take us an hour and 18 minutes to reach Sydney this morning. If there's one thing that Jetstar does well, it's the consistent hard product across its aircraft and its 3 airlines. Granted, I've yet to fly Jetstar Asia, but between Jetstar Airways and Jetstar Japan, you won't find too much difference inside their single aisle planes. The cabin is laid out in a 3-3 seating configuration with dark seats and orange bulkheads. Seatback has a coat hook off to the side, a literature pocket on top where you'll find the menu and a safety card. A seatback table and a net pocket below completes the seat features. Seat pitch is advertised at 28 inches, which is in line with many budget carriers. Having a couple seats beside you unoccupied for the flight also helps. And above you have access to a reading light and air control. Like many budget carriers, you get what you pay for, and a seat on a clean plane was delivered. Speaking of deliveries, it's time for breakfast. The menu is really where the 3 Jetstar brands diverge, as each has their own menu which is designed for their particular markets. For example, the price of beer in Jetstar Japan is about half the cost of what you see here, and I'll leave the link to that domestic Jetstar flight for you to compare further. Nonetheless, the menu is constructed with a healthy variety of drinks. A quick question for the Australians watching, is soft drink the more common term down there, or is it pop? Anyway, moving on to the food, there are light meals which is composed of sandwiches, pies, and wraps, and there's a selection of salty snacks and some instant noodles at the bottom of the page. The next page over has the hot drink menu and the sweeter snacks. They also offer a few combo deals to save a few bucks, but of course pre-purchasing before your flight is the best way to go. There is a selection for international flights, but more on that in a future video. I pre-ordered my meal at the time of booking and went with the bacon and egg ciabatta. On Jetstar, pre-ordered meals are served first to guests, before the a la carte service, which is beneficial on these shorter flights. The sandwich, which is constructed with scrambled eggs, 2 slices of female bacon, love it, and a tomato relish came piping hot and needed a few seconds to cool down. The sandwich was very good, a crispy bun, good flavors, and the tomato relish worked better than ketchup. And unlike in the WestJet flight, the box was not soggy with excess moisture. You definitely see these cardboard boxes used more often for in-flight meals, and if used with meals that have a low moisture content like this, they work quite well. If there is one improvement I would recommend is to not use cornmeal on the outside of the ciabatta bun, as it's easy to get all over the place in the confines of an economy seat. Now with a simple cup of coffee, it was time to sit back and take in the nice sights. And here's a look at one of the rear lavatories. You know, with the dark interior with the LED lighting, it's one of the better designed economy lavatories out there from my experience. Overall, Jetstar delivered this day. We covered them several times in the past on domestic flights, and every time we had good results. So going back to the start of the video, where we ask what makes Jetstar so successful, it has to be the consistent product. Regardless of being in Japan, Australia, or New Zealand, Jetstar delivers a no-frills product, but the product is consistent time and time again. I think it adds a sense of comfort to passengers, as they know what to expect on their flights and leaves little uncertainty. The onboard service, like every aspect of the experience, was efficient, and my interactions with the staff were no less than kind. As I stated earlier in the video, as long as you follow the parameters of your ticket, flying on a budget airline can deliver a favorable experience. Jetstar makes booking an itinerary an easy process, as their website integrates all Jetstar brands, allowing you to fly anywhere within their network without having to buy a different ticket for each company. Even though I'm on the Jetstar Japan website, I can easily book a domestic flight in Australia. After selecting your flight, you get to choose which fare best suits your trip. Since this was a day trip for me, I went with the most restrictive starter fare. You will note that since this flight will be with Jetstar Airways, Qantas points could be earned on this flight, but Japan Airlines mileage cannot. The next page is all the baggage options, none for me. And then you get to select your seat, which starts at $8 for the starter fare. Afterwards, you can purchase an in-flight meal, and really if you intend to eat on the plane, this provides the best value. Even if you don't know what to select at the time of purchasing, you can grab an in-flight voucher which saves you a little bit, which is a great option to have. And then all you have to do is enter your details and pay. The final price after seat selection and the meal came out to 108 Australian dollars. And you know what, for 50 quid, we did pretty good. Thanks for watching, let me know your thoughts on Jetstar's domestic service, and I'll catch you in the next video.